And then when it's time for fruit to bear, the fruit is there. And that's from the gardener. He also says this person's leaf shall not wither. Now, I get distracted when I start reading about green things. And I don't think we're running away over time, so I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take a little side trail I took on the first service too. I think green things are a picture of God's grace. In the same way that the sky shows us how big God is, I think, and I hinted on this here a while back about how, have you ever thought about how everything we need comes from photosynthesis? We would have exhausted the resources of this planet long before now if God didn't have the sun continually pumping energy into our system, that energy that's then converted to matter, and that matter becomes the fruit that we eat, the food that we eat, the food that we feed animals so we can have meat, the trees that we build our houses out of. God continues to pump energy into our life. It's just the idea he came up with, what was it, the third day? When he says, let's make plants. What a big idea. To me, that's a picture of grace. It's extravagant. It's everywhere. And it's absolutely necessary. And there's so much of it, we're pulling weeds. It's too much. When we hear about God's grace, people will say God's grace is unmerited favor, and it is. But we'll think of it legally like, I deserve hell, but I get heaven, so this is mercy and this is grace, and we stop there. No, it's so much bigger than that. God's grace it's inexhaustible, and it's everywhere, and it's abundant. And so when I look at something that's green, that's what I see. His leaf doesn't wither. He's constantly receiving God's grace. Now, I'm not telling you that's what David meant when he saw that. I'm just telling you that's what Craig sees when he reads it, because I asked God to teach me about leaves. But the idea that the provision is always there when it's necessary. This is not, you throw a piece of plywood down on the grass and pick it up 6 weeks later, and that's dead. So it doesn't have that type of a situation. And anyhow, he finishes it by saying, whatever he does prospers. Everything he does has meaning. That's the picture that he gives us of the one who his delight is in God's law, and in that law he meditates day and night. His life is about who is God and what does God say, and how do I fit. That's his all-consuming life and thought. That's the picture we get of this person. Then he says, the ungodly not so much. So he's just taken a big long verse and described the blessed. And then he just uses one phrase and says, yeah, not so much the ungodly. They're like chaff. And driving up this morning, I see there's wheat fields out here that are just about ready to harvest, and they're going to go through there, and they're going to have a combine. They're going to harvest the wheat. They'll save the straw. Where's the chaff go? I mean, as a little kid, I lived in eastern Montana where there were wheat fields everywhere, and I remember in the winter we'd get snowdrifts.